What's up? What's up? What's up? Peace and power and elevation be to all you beautiful people out there. This your girl Tiffany coming through here live in effect tonight. So class is in session. That's a joke, but no. Tonight's topic, I am going to be talking about Iceberg Slim. Now, Iceberg Slim was very popular in the 70s. He has so much influence, especially in the entertainment industry, such as the music and the movie industry as well. A piece of Brother Omi. So he has inspired a lot of artists, a lot of rappers out there. A lot of them look up to him. Now, there's another pimp that I did in the past. His name was Donald Goins. And what both him and Iceberg Slim have in common is both of them are pimps and both of them are authors as well. Okay? So both of them wrote written books that was based on black exploitation. So if you guys looked at the old movies like The Mag and Superfly, and there's so many listed long movies that's out there, they was based off these stories that these two individuals have written. So what I'm going to do tonight, I am going to share some sources. All right, I'm going to share his biography, and I'm going to share get into a brief background about the origin of the word pimp and prostitution and madams, etc. And I'm going to present some of the books that he has written. And also, I'm going to have some more books that you guys can check out. So, you can put them in your archive. You can share it with others. You can have a conversation amongst yourselves. All right. I want to give a disclaimer. This is not any way to promote the idea of pimping and prostitution, anything like that. Okay. This is just something that is educational. All right. That is informal to people. That's all it is. So there's no way in the world am I bringing any concept of pimpology to people, okay? I'm not encouraging anybody to indulge in any type of lifestyle, all right? Because this is not a lifestyle that people really want. You gotta have the mind for it, okay? But it's just really to bring about information and really educate individuals, those who may want to do their own research, do their own studies on this particular topic. So now that I got that out the way, I just want to go ahead and get started. And peace to Brother Chauncey. How you doing? I hope everything going well with you. So let's go ahead and get started. All right. So who is Iceberg Slim? Let's look at his life. Let's look at his biography. Okay, if you guys can see that. So, according to his biography, his real name was Robert Lee Maupin, or he could have been Maupin Jr., but he went by Robert Beck. He was born on August the 4th, 1918. He died on April 30th, 1992. Okay. So he became a pimp and also a writer. And his novels were adapted into films. So he was born in Chicago, Illinois. Now, Chicago has an interesting history because Chicago was known as a mob town at one point, but it's also known for a lot of pimping and prostitution as well. Even Bishop Don Juan, he's from Chicago. So there's a lot of pimps and prostitution going on in Chicago. All right. So Robert Maupin was born in Chicago, Illinois. He spent his childhood in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and Rockford, Illinois, until he returned to Chicago. When his mother was abandoned by his father, she established a beauty shop and worked as a domestic to support both of them in Milwaukee. In his autobiography, Maupin expressed gratitude to his mother for not abandoning him as well. She earned enough money working in her salon to give her son the privilege of a middle-class life, such as a college education, which at that time was difficult for the average person. Slim attended Tuskegee University in Tuskegee, Alabama, but having spent time in the street culture, he soon began bootlegging and was expelled as a result. After his explosion, his mother encouraged him to become a criminal lawyer so that he could make a legitimate living while continuing to work with the street people he was so fond of. But Maupin, seeing the pimps bringing women into his mother's beauty salon, was far more attracted to the model of money and control of women that pimping provide. Okay, so how did he get started? How did he get caught up in the pimp game? Well, let's talk about it. So, according to his memoir, Pimp, Slim started pimping at 18 and continued until the age 42. So he spent about a good 24 years of his life being a pimp. He started at the age 18 and he continued until the age 42. The book claims that during his career, he had over 400 women, both black and white, working for him. He said he was known for his frosty temperament and for staying calm in emergencies, which combined with his slim build to earn him the street name Iceberg Slim. When verbal instruction and psychological manipulation failed to keep the women compliant, he beat them with wire hangers. In his autobiography, he conceded he was a ruthless, vicious man. Slim had been connected with several other well-known pimps. One of them, Albert "Baby" Bell, a man born in 1899 who had been pimping for decades and had a Dosenberg and a Bejeweled pet, a solid or whatever. Another pimp who had gotten Slim hooked on cocaine went by the name of Satin and was a major drug figure in the eastern part of the country. Throughout his pimping career, Slim was noted for being able to effectively conceal his emotions. Something he said he had learned from Baby Bell. A pimp has gotta know his whores, but not let them know him. He gotta be God all the way. All right, so here's the thing. From what was told to me, from somebody that I know personally, one of the things that a pimp must learn how to do, he has to control his emotion. He's not really allowed to put his hand on women. Because if you put your hands on a woman, then that's considered as guerrilla pimping. So yeah, he has to control himself. And he has to maintain his image at all times. So the whole object of being a pimp is studying psychology. If you guys ever heard the song by Do or Die, which is called Poor Pimping, right? Po Pimping. Po Pimping in the song goes into the outline of a group of young males who's struggling out the streets, out of the hood to make a come up. And Do or Die is from Chicago, okay? The song in the line, it says, I study PIMPology, but logically be learn these hoes biology. Obviously, well. So in this case, you have to learn your women. So once you learn your women, learn their behavior, then you know how to execute. Then you know how to go about being able to get them to do the things that you want them to do without necessarily have to use physical force. It's all about using psychological force. You have to be able to psychologically manipulate them. But the pimp and prostitution been the oldest hustle for a long time. Pimping been the oldest hustle since ancient time period. And we will come to terms to see that pimpology is being used in the political arena, government structure, economics, anything that's in the higher ups. This whole ideology is being used, except that you don't have anybody literally out there prostituting and selling their behind on the corner, but it's the same principle. The idea is still the same. Now, let me just go ahead and continue. All right. It says in his writing, in 1961, after serving 10 months of solitary confinement in a Cook County jail, Maupin decided he was too old for a life of pimping. He was 42 and was unable to compete with younger, more ruthless pimps. In an interview with the Washington Post, he said he retired because I was old. I did not want to be teased, tormented, and brutalized by young whores. All right, give me a moment. I'll pull her up in a moment. Let me go ahead and finish up the rest of this information, then I'll pull her up. All right, so in 1961, Maupin moved to Los Angeles and changed his name to Robert Beck, taking the last name of the man his mother was married to at the time. He met Betty Sue, who became his common law wife and the mother of his 3 daughters while he was working as an inside salesman. Betty encouraged Beck to write the story of his life as a novel, and they began sporadically writing some draft chapters. According to her, a white writer whom Beck would later only refer to as the professor became interested in writing Beck's life story. Beck became convinced that the man was trying to steal their idea for himself, so they cut him out of the deal and finished it without him. Bentley Morris of Holloway House recognized the merit of Pimp, and it was published in 1967. Okay, well, let me go ahead and pull this person up real fast. Mary Ann Hall. I will pull her up real fast. Okay, let's look up Mary Ann Hall. Okay. Just give me a second. All right, so let me pull up the information about Mary Ann Hall real fast. Thank you, Vinyasa. Okay, so Mary Ann Hall, she was born 1814 or 1815. She ran a successful brothel from the 1840s until about 1878 at 349 Maryland Avenue, Southwest Washington, D.C., about 4 blocks west of the U.S. Capitol before the National Museum of the American Indian was built on the site in 1999. The Smithsonian Institution conducted an archaeological excavation of the foundation and garbage dump of the house. The expensive tableware in the garbage dump was made of ironstone and porcelain. Food remnants included meat, fowl, fish, and exotic fruits like coconuts and berries. French champagne courts were especially numerous. She built a 3-story house on the site, which rose greatly in value. Her business was apparently very successful, and she died with a net worth of 87,000, which is worth over $2 million in 2005 dollars. In 1864, the Union Army's provost marshal published a list of brothels in Washington, and Mary Ann Halls had 18 inmates, making it the largest in the city. She was buried with her sister and other family members under large and dignified memorials at the Congressional Cemetery in Washington, D.C. Her summer home in Arlington was later owned by Presley Marion Ritchie and is now Marymount University. Let's see what else I can find over here. She was running a brothel and slaves for the political people in DC. I think even found a slave graveyard there. That's interesting. That's interesting to know. That's very interesting to know. But you know what? I mean, if we really think about it, what do you think pimping and prostitution is? If you put it together, pimping and prostitution is nothing more than a master and slave type of relationship. That's all it is. So the pimp represents the master, and the pimp represents the master, and the prostitute represents the slave. So the way that the slave master operated, they operated in the mindsets of being pimps. And the slaves were their prostitutes. But thank you for bringing that up, brother. I appreciate it. And as a matter of fact, I'm going to have to look in and see if I can find any books on her. And you say, bingo, sis, and we both become slave to the money and the game. Absolutely. Absolutely. You're right. We become slave to the money and to the game. And not only we become slave to the money and to the game, we become slave to the streets too. We become slaves to poverty. We become a slave to a lot of things because of the social conditioning. All right, so let me go ahead and go back to where I was finishing off. All right, so it says the hip hop writer Mark Skills wrote that when Beck began work on Pimp, he made two promises to himself: no glamorizing his former life and no snitching. Hip hop artist Fab Five Freddy, a friend of Beck's, claimed that many of Bob's friends were still alive when he wrote that book, so he changed all their names and description. Baby Bell became Sweet Jones. Sweet Jones. I wonder who used that name. Pimp C. Pimp C used the term, he used the name Sweet Jones as his alias. But check this out. He became Sweet Jones. His best friend Satin became Glass Top. And he created composite characters of some of his former employees. Reviews of Pimp were mixed, although he found his book being shelved next to other Black authors of the angry 60s like Eldridge Cleaver's Soul on Ice and Malcolm X, the autobiography of Malcolm X. Beck's vision was considerably bleaker than most other Black writers of the time. His work tended to be based on his personal experiences in the criminal underworld and revealed a world of seemingly bottomless brutality and viciousness. His was the first insider look into the world of Black pimps, to be followed by a half a dozen pimp memoirs by other writers. In 1973, Holy West questioned in the Washington Post whether societal changes and the women's movement would soon render the outlook expressed in pimp obsolete. The Iceberg Slim of yesteryear is considered an anachronism to the young dudes now out there on the block trying to hustle. They say he is cruel and violent, overlooking his tremendous gift of gab. Iceberg acknowledges that pimping has changed because women have changed. The event of women's lip changing sex mores, general affluence in this society, and widespread use of drugs by pimps to control prostitutes have made an impact. Pimp sold very well, mainly among black audience. By 1973, it had been reprinted 19 times and had been sold nearly 2 million copies. Pimp was eventually translated into German, French, Italian, Portuguese, Spanish, Dutch, Swedish, Finnish, and Greek. Following Pimp, Beck wrote several more novels, an autobiography, and a story collection. He sold over 6 million books before his death in 1992, making him one of the best-selling African-American writers. All right, so it goes down and talks about the recordings. All right. So I'm just going to skip that part. So let's go down to where it says film adaptation. Slim's first novel, Trick Baby, was adapted as a eponymous 1972 movie directed by Larry Yost and produced independently for $600,000 with a cast of unknowns. Universal Pictures acquired the film for $1 million and released it in 1973 to a considerable amount of Iceberg Slim fanfare. The movie grossed over 11 million at the U.S. box office. The New York Times praised the film for its depiction of race relation and the friendship between two con men set in the grimier reaches of Philadelphia. In 2006, independent film producer Dave Martell and David Harp acquired the film rights to produce Mama Black Widow. Then goes on to say, in 2009, television executive producer Rod West of the HBO show Entourage and Mitch Davis purchased the film rights to produce Pimp. And then it goes into his personal life. After his release from prison in 1961, Beck met Betty Sue, who became his common-law wife and the mother of his 3 daughters and one son while he was working as an insecticide salesman. And then also it says Beck married Diane Milliman Beck in 1982. All right. So according to Beck's widow, Diane Millman Beck, Beck's final years were plagued by financial worries and deteriorating health. Beck suffered from diabetes and became increasingly reclusive. He died from liver failure on April the 30th, 1992 at the age 73. In 2005, Diane Millman Beck and Beck's 3 daughters from his previous relationship, Melody, Misty, and Camille, filed suit against Holloway House for back payments or royalties. They claim in their suit that Robert Beck died penniless. Beck's remains are interred at Forest Lawn Memorial Park in Glendale, California. All right. So right here in academia, it says Ivan Welsh adds that a course at Harvard University featured Pimp as a transgressive novel. And of course, Dave Chappelle used the life of Iceberg Slim in the world of his book Pimp as a parable for his experience in show business. And Eddie Murphy's character, Velvet Jones from Saturday Night Live, has been described as a spoof of Iceberg Slim. So you got the films in 1970. Incarcerated Bay Area pimp Robert Poole was influenced by Beck's pimp while writing a screenplay about his life, The Mac and His Pack. The film was released under the title The Mac in 1973, starring Max Julien and Richard Pryor. Ice-T produced the documentary Iceberg Slim Portrait of a Pimp in 2012, told through talking head admirers, including Chris Rock, Snoop Dogg, Ice-T, Henry Rollins, Quincy Jones, and others. The film was directed by Jorge Hinojosa and premiered at the Toronto International Film Festival on September 8, 2012. Then, of course, in literature, Arthur Donald acknowledged the strong influence of Beck's Pimp when he created his urban fiction set in a black mile. Goins was also published by Bentley Morris of Holloway House. All right, so. Okay. Musical references to bullshit. Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that. So it says Slim is an important influence on hip hop artists. For example, many of the current musical reference to pimp culture, for example, in the work of Snoop Dogg and Too Short, can be traced back to Iceberg Slim. Iceberg Slim's last book, Doom Fox, written in 1978 but not published until 1998, contains an introduction written by Ice-T. All right, so here's the bibliography. And these are the references at the bottom of the page. Okay. Now let me go ahead and read the comments. Look up a song called All Coons Look the Same to Me, also known as All Pimps Look the Same to Me. It's a very old ragtime song. All right. Okay, so I can't play the song, but because of the copyright issue, but what I'll do is I'll look the lyrics up. Okay. So I found it. So it's called All Coon Look Alike to Me, Words and Music by Ernest Hogan, published 1896, M. Whitmarsh and Son. All right, so is this it right here? Is this the one talk about a coon having trouble? I think I have enough of my own. It's all about my Lucy Jamie Stubbles, and she has caused my heart to moan. It says, there's another coon barber from Virginia in society. He's the leader of the day. And now my honey gal is going to quit me. Yes, she gone and drove this coon away. She's no excuse to turn me loose. I've been abused. I'm all confused. Cause these words she did say, all coons look alike to me. I've got another beau, you see, and he just as good to me as you, Nick, ever tried to be. He spent his money free. I know we can't agree, so I don't like you know how all coons look alike to me. Well, damn. Well, damn. All coons look alike to me. Okay, let's see. Let's see. Yeah, damn. Oh, wow. Well, that's the first time I heard it, and it's written by Ernest Hogan. Hold on, let's see. Who is Ernest Hogan? Okay. All right, so this is Ernest Hogan right here. Okay. So he was the man that wrote the song. Mm. All right, all right then. Well, The Missionary Man, Words and Music by Ernest Hogan, introduced by Gus Hill Smart Set Company. Well, you know what? I'm gonna hold on to this because I want to do a topic about him. So I may do a topic about him tomorrow. Ernest Hogan. Or if not, I'll do it some other day. Let's look at the Coon song. Okay. I think this should be it right here. It says coon songs was a genre of music that presented a stereotypes of Africans. They were popular in the United States and Australia from 1880 to 1920. Though the earliest songs dated from minstrel shows as far back as 1848, the genre became extremely popular with the white and black men giving performances in blackface and making recordings. The women known as coon shouters also gained popularity in the genre. And then you got songs, the song Zip Coon, a variant of Turkey in the Straw, first became popular in the 1830s, notably in performances by George Washington Dixon, who performed blackface. The word coon, a slur meaning black person, was used in at that time. Now we use the word coon as a sellout. So it says on August 13, 1920, the Universal Negro Improvement Association and African Community Leagues created the red, black, and green flag as a response to the song Every Race Has a Flag But the Coon by Helene and Hef. That song, along with Coon, 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 and All Coons Look Alike to Me, were identified by H.L. Mencken as being the song which firmly established the derogatory term coon in the American vocabulary. Mm. Well, that's quite that's quite interesting. Ernest Hogan, I will remember that name. We use that term coon so loosely. So anybody that's a sellout or a race trader that we feel like we'll call them a coon in a heartbeat. But to this day, it's still a derogatory term. But yeah, that song. Yeah, that's the song I bring up to demonstrate how long this stereotype image influence via in America has been here. Hey, bro. Hey, Go, how you doing, bro? It's good to see you. Well, I have to look into all pimps look alike to me. Let me see if I can find that right now. This is what I came up with right here. It says, all pimps look alike to me. Unbleached Ernest Hogan has dubious distinction of being the man who wrote the first and or at least the most influential of what were to be called coon songs. In a Chicago tavern in 1896, he heard and wrote down a song he called All Coons Look Alike to Me. It became a national sensation. Though his hit provided Hogan with financial security for the rest of his life, he was not unaware of the stereotype it popularized even more in the vicious sheet music cover illustration than in the ridiculous lyrics. And he is said to have wished on his deathbed that he had never written it. Interestingly, in the song, as he first heard it, the piano player girlfriend opened all pimps look alike to me, and Hogan had simply tried to use a gentler blackface animals smileys in order to tone down the lyrics' negativity. Wow. Well, you learn something new every day, huh? You learn something new. Hello, Sir Anthony. Hello, Go. How you doing, brother? Thank y'all for coming through. Thank y'all for checking me out. You learn something new every single day. But let's go ahead and let's look at the terminology of the word pimp real fast. So right here, I'm on the page, and what you see is procuring. So procuring is prostitution. All right, so you got Xavier Hollander. She was a former madam, call girl, all of that. So, yeah. Procuring or pandering is the facilitation or provision of a prostitute or other sex worker in the arrangement of a sex act with a customer. A procurator, colloquially called a pimp, if male, or a madam, if female, or a brothel keeper is an agent for prostitutes who collects part of their earnings. The procurator may receive this money in return for advertising services, physical protection, or for providing and possibly monopolizing a location where the prostitutes may engage clients. Like prostitution, the legality of certain actions of a madam or a pimp vary from one region to the next. Let's look at this. So the example of procuring including trafficking a person into a country for the purpose of soliciting sex, which happens all the time. Operating a business where prostitution occurs. Transporting a prostitute to the location of their arrangement, deriving financial gains from the prostitution of another. Peace, brother Rashid. Peace, brother. So, overview, pimps and madams are diverse and variegated depending on the strata in which they work, and they enter and leave the sex industry for a variety of internal and external reasons, such as family pressure, interaction with the police, and in some cases, recruitments from peer sex workers. All right, so and then when we go down here, we see that the madam pimp prostitute relationship is often understood to be abusive and possessive, with the pimp madam using techniques such as psychological intimidation, manipulation, starvation, rape, and or gang rape, beating, tattooing to mark the woman as theirs, confinement, threats of violence towards the victim's family, forced drug use, and the shame from these acts. Recent empirical research of madams pimps suggests that these assumptions about abusive relationship represent stereotype oppression narrative that only represent a small percentage of the relationship between madams, pimps, and sex workers. So let's talk about the legal status and debates about legality. Where prostitution is decriminalized and regulated, procuring may or may not be legal. In jurisdiction in which it is, the form permitted do not involve threats or violence towards anyone. Procuring regulation differ widely from place to place. So it says procuring and brothel are legal in Netherlands, Germany, Greece, New Zealand, and most of Australia and Nevada. All right, so it goes down into the etymology of what the word pimp comes from. So the word pimp first appeared in English in 1607 in a Thomas Middleton play entitled Your 5 Gallons. It is of unknown origin, but may have stemmed from the French infinitive pimper, meaning to dress up elegantly, from the present particle pimpant, meaning alluring and seductive dress. Pimp used as a verb meaning to act as a pimp. First appeared in 1636 in Philip Massinger's play The Bashful Lover. In the 18th and 19th century, the term was commonly used to refer to informers. A pimp can also mean a despicable person. The term can also be applied to a person who is considered a ladies' man. All right. So now let's go down to the concept of the business of pimping. So pimping is sometimes operated like a business. Well, it is a business technically. The pimp may have a bottom girl who serves as office manager. So the bottom girl, in what we know in the hood slang, the bottom bitch. So the bottom bitch is the manager that works under the pimp. Because remember, the pimp is the top dog. He's the top priority. He's the boss of everybody. She's the second in command. So whatever he commands her to do, she has to send those commands over to the girls. Now, if something was to happen to the pimp, then she would take his spot as the madam. But in the meantime, she his bottom bitch. All right. So it says pimping is sometimes operated like a business. The pimp may have a bottom girl who serves as office manager, keeping the pimp apprised of law enforcement activity and collecting money from the prostitutes. Pimps recognize a hierarchy amongst themselves. In certain pimp strata, the least respected or newer pimps are the popcorn pimps and wannabes. Popcorn pimps was a phenomenon which occurred among adolescent cocaine users of both sexes who utilize children younger than themselves to support their habits. A pimp who uses violence and intimidation to control his prostitutes is called a guerrilla pimp, while those who use psychological trickery to deceive younger prostitutes into becoming hooked into the system are called finesse pimps. So you got different categories of pimps, right? So you got the popcorn pimps, the ones that don't get any type of respect. You got the guerrilla pimps who use violence and intimidation. And then you have the finesse pimps who can use psychological trickery. Okay. In addition, a prostitute may bounce from pimp to pimp without paying the pimp moving tax. Some pimps in the United States are also documented gang members, which cause concern for police agencies in jurisdiction where prostitution is a significant problem. Pimping rivals narcotic sales as a major source of funding for many gangs. Gangs need money to survive. Money equates to power and respect. While selling drugs may be lucrative for a gang, this activity often carries significant risk as stiff legal penalties and harsh mandatory minimum sentencing law exist. However, with pimping, gang members still make money while the prostitute themselves bear the majority of the risk. Pimping has several benefits to the gang that the pimp belongs to. These benefits include helping the gang recruit new members because the gang has women available for sex, And the money brought in by prostitution allows gang members to buy cars, clothes, and weapons, all of which help to recruit younger members into the gang by increasing the reputation of the gang in the local gang subculture. The presence of gangs and weapons and drugs is a virtual guarantee when prostitutes are present, which is why many law enforcement agencies advocate taking an aggressive stance against prostitutes. Many vice units work to ascertain if the prostitute they have arrested has a pimp. And if so, they pressure them to provide information about their pimp and the gang involved. This information can be then used to go after the more serious and violent offenders. Dirty Max if they out of order in who they pursues. Yeah. And you know what? And I meant to say this before I continue. Iceberg Slim says it the best. Iceberg Slim said, the pimp is the lonely bastard. The pimp is a lonely bastard. Now, why did he say that? Anybody that's in the comment section right now, why did Iceberg Slim say the pimp is the lonely bastard? So if you can type in the comment section, if you are right now, what did Iceberg mean when he say pimp is a lonely bastard? What did he mean by that? Give me your response on that, because I just want to read people's response. So if you guys are watching right now, go ahead and type your response on what did Iceberg mean when he say the pimp is a lonely bastard. All right, so here's one comment. It says, a pimp can't pimp unless he willing to step back and pimp himself. A pimp can't pimp unless he's willing to step back and pimp himself. Now, that's a deep statement right there. Is that why he a lonely bastard? Because he can't pimp unless he's willing to pimp himself? But I like that statement, though. Let me see if anybody else got any comments. The lonely come from you give up all trust and emotion to enter this world. I'm going to give a response to that. I was going to, okay, then y'all, so I'm sorry about that. I'm sorry. I thought that was a response to my question. My bad. Okay, I see your response now. It says the loneliness come from you give up all trust and emotion to enter this world. So I'm going to give my response to that when I close this video out. But I like that response that you gave. The loneliness come from you give up all trust, emotion to enter this world. But I'm going to give my response to that. But I got you. I like the comment. So anybody else that want to respond to that, anybody else that want to give their comments, please put it on here. What did Iceberg Slim mean when he say the pimp is the loneliest bastard? Put your comments on there. Anybody else? All right. So now check this out. It says some pimps' businesses have internal structure built around violence for dealing with rule breakers. For example, some pimps have been known to employ a pimp stick, which is two coat hangers wrapped together in order to subdue unruly prostitutes. A variation is a pimp cane used for similar purposes. Although prostitutes can move between pimps, this movement sometimes leads to violence. For example, a prostitute could be punished for merely looking at another pimp. This is considered in some pimp malus to be reckless eyeballing. Violence can also be used on customers. For example, if the customer attempts to evade payment or become unruly with a prostitute. Then said use of tattoos. Some pimps tattoo prostitutes as a mark of ownership. The tattoo will often be the pimp's street name or even his likeness. The mark the mark might be as discreet as ankle tattoo or blanked as a neck tattoo or a large scales front across the prostitute's lower back, thighs, chest, or buttocks. Okay, so my brother put down Sir Anthony. He said, I don't have a clue about why a pimp would be the loneliest. Okay. Sounds like a legitimate answer. Gotcha. All right. Then it says, the internet affects. See, this is the worst part about it. They get on social media. So you never know, especially if you have teenage daughters and sons. But if you have children and they're on the internet like Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram, and they may think they be talking to somebody that's in their age group, but they don't realize that that person that's behind the screen might be someone that's working for a pimp, that's looking to recruit young people into their establishment. So yeah, you gotta be careful because the internet is where they get them. But anyway, it says internet effect. Since the internet became widely available, prostitutes increasingly use websites to solicit sexual encounters. This has bypassed the need for pimps in some contexts, while some pimps have used these sites to broker their sex workers. All right. In that you go by laws of what works and keeps you going, growing a dependency on your own wits, aided with the reality of you literally watching people sell lies. So trust once again is out the window. Keyword: people sell lies. Does that sound familiar to you? People that sell lies. Who are the people that sell lies the most to us? The politician. They sell the biggest lie to us. Media sells the propaganda. Now, not everything in media is 100% lie, but a lot of stuff is propagated because it gets people's attention. You have to close your heart knowing these girls are pleasing other men. But your responsibility of her well-being is all on you. It creates all kind of weird emotion if you're not careful. What did Pimp C say? Pimp C said, be careful with these bitches, you don't get your life jacked. No, he said, don't show no weakness to these bitches, you will get your life jacked. That's what Pimp C said in his song. Don't show no weakness to these bitches because you will get your life jacked. That means if you out here pimping and you start catching feelings and start having emotional attachment to one of your workers, then you slipping. And when you slipping, that means that you're not focused. You're so focused on that one particular individual to the point where you start losing focus on your establishment. So now that gives these prostitutes the advantage to control and manipulate you. So yeah, Pimp C said, "Don't show no weakness to these bitches. You'll get your life jacked." All right, and it says, "Hence the loneliest of a pimp. Not to mention, you gotta be discreet and so much more." Yeah, well, brother Anthony, the pimp game ain't no easy game to get into. See, you don't want to just get into the pimp game because it's something serious. Anything can go wrong. If you do something wrong to one of your prostitutes, they can turn on you, and then the other pimps can take your hoes from you, and they can have them put out there on the work on the line. So yeah, so the pimp game ain't easy. It's not a friendly business. Cause one minute you may have prostitutes, next minute you don't have them. And what is a pimp without a hoe? What did Bun B say? What is a pimp without a hoe? What's a pimp without a hoe? All right, but let me go ahead and finish up, okay? Because I don't want to keep y'all on here all day or all night, rather. All right. So, criticism of portrayals. Some scholars and sex workers' right advocates disputes portrayal of third-party agents as violent and extremely committed to a pimp subculture, find them inaccurate exaggerations used to foster harmful policies. For example, one study found that pimps tend to drift in and out of pimping, with some of their goals and identities classified as predominantly mainstream, some as predominantly outside of that mainstream, and some as a hybrid of conventional and non-conventional. All right, so then it talks about pornography. So yeah, one day I would have to figure out how to do a subject on pornography. All right. So yeah, I'm gonna do a subject one day on pornography, just focusing on the concept of pornography alone. But here it is. Pornography is nothing more than prostitution in the mainstream. That's all it is. Because at the end of the day, you still sell your punani or your eggplant in the mainstream media. That's all you're doing. So it's still technically prostitution, but on the higher level, on the upper echelon level. That's all it is. And escort is prostitution on the upper echelon level. All right. Oh, I know about that word queen. I know about the word queen. Queen with the A. I know what that word means. Yeah, the word queen with the A is basically a lewd woman or a prostitute. That's all it is. It's an old terminology. It's an old English term that means a lewd woman and a prostitute. But for the sake of this conversation, I'm gonna look this up real fast. Sugar Free. I'm not familiar with him. Sugar Free is my favorite rapper that was formerly a pimp. Hmm. Is he from California? Is Sugar Free from California? Because you know a lot of those pimps are either from Chicago, Milwaukee, or California. A lot of them are. Okay. But let's go ahead and look up the word queen. Okay, got you. All right, give me a moment, you guys. All right, I'm back. Okay, so I have an etymology book here, and I'm a I recommend you guys have an etymology book. So this book is dealing with the dictionary of word origins, which is etymology. Yeah. Okay, so let's go ahead. Let's look up the word queen. All right, so queen with a means a woman, a low-born woman, right? That's Middle English. From Old English, queen, woman, also female, serf, hussy, prostitute. From Proto-Germanic, queenon, or Middle Dutch, which is vain or worthless woman. So, woman considered without regard to qualities or position. Hence, often a slighting or abusive term for a woman. In Middle English, it could mean a harlot, an old woman, or crone. And it was in popular use from the 16th century to 17th century in the sense of hussy, but in Scottish, often with a sense of young, robust woman. The sense of effeminate homosexual is recorded by 1935, according to Patrick. This was especially in Australian slang. Okay. Yes. So, so as you can see, it's the old terminology that basically means a woman who is a harlot, a prostitute, a lewd woman, or what they used to call it. There's another word that is banned, which is called a cunt. A cunt is a woman that's basically synonymous with being a bitch, a low life, etc. So yeah, so that's what it is. Yeah, that's the terminology. So a lot of people don't know about that term word queen. So when you say queen, you got specify which queen you talking about, the queen with the A or the queen with the E. All right, then. So you guys can check this out on etymonline.com. So go online, etymology dictionary. Okay. Um, so as you can see down here, there is the list of notable pimps and madams. All right. Here's a list, long list. And if you guys want to check out more information, you can go down here to see also American Pimp and reference. And speaking of the documentary, there was a brother. His name was Michael McCoy. I believe that was his name. He was a filmmaker, and he did documentaries called Pimps Across America. He had passed away back in 2014 because he had died from diabetes. But but he did films and documentaries on pimps across America. And he was from Chicago too, by the way. So that's not so that's very common. That would be, that's very common again. And he has traveled so many places, met so many people. Um, he had one documentary called The American's Daughters. As a matter of fact, I could pull that up right now as we speak. All right, hold on. So let me pull up the name. I'm trying to pull up the name of the. Hmm. All right, but anyways, I can't pull it up. I have to find it later. But the name of the documentaries that he did was about pimps. His name was Michael McCoy, and he had passed away in Chicago. So he was in his 40s. Yeah, he died from diabetes, complication diabetes. And see, diabetes ain't no joke. But yeah, this man have he has done a lot of work on. He has interviewed a lot of pimps from Bishop Down One, Ken the Pimp. Um, it's a long list of them. Maybe she heard deacon the wrong way. Deacon. Well, what about deacon? What you mean? What about Deacon Vyasa? Maybe she heard Deacon the wrong way. I don't know. I don't get it. I don't get it. You gotta break it down to me. I'm lost. I'm lost in the sauce right now. All right, but these are the books that I want you guys to check out. So this book right here, Deacon, 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 it's all Joseph sounded out at the reading of Joseph. Deacon, Dacon, Deacon. I don't know. I don't get it. I'm trying to figure out what you're trying to say. Was it decon, decon? What am I? What? Y'all know what? Y'all is a trip in the chat. Y'all, you had lost me for a minute, Vyasa. You lost me. I have not made any videos about diabetes as of yet, but one day, when I gather up enough information, I will do so because that needs to be talked about. That needs to be out because that's very important that we talk about diabetes because that's like a serious disease that's played into our community. You know what? I don't know. I'm gonna leave that one alone. I'll come back to it later. I'm gonna come back to it later. All right. Anyways, so I am going to go ahead and give you guys some sources that you need to look into. This one's called Raised in Pimp City: The Uncut Truth About Domestic Human Sex Trafficking by Armand King. Okay. So if you guys get a chance to, you need to check this book out, look this book up, and read more into it. Okay. It's called Raised in Pimp City. All right. Oops. And then here's another one. This one's called Black Players. The Secret of Black Pimps by Christina and Richard Miner, forward by Tariq, your boy Tariq Elite Nasheed. So this book came out in 1972, but he forwarded in 2010. So this is before Hidden Colors even came out into the picture. Okay. So if you guys have not checked this book out, you guys need to do so. It's called Black Players, The Secret World of Black Pimps. And then here's some Iceberg Slim books. So this book is called The Story of My Life Pimp by Iceberg Slim. Okay. And then right here, this one's called Long White Con Iceberg Slim. So this one's called Trick Baby. And I think you guys know what a trick baby is, right? Okay, for those of you that don't know what a trick baby is. So a trick baby is a child that's born to a mother that is a prostitute and a father that is a John or her client. So that means that if your mother was prostituting and she had sex with a John and end up getting pregnant, you become what's called a trick baby. Because the Johns are considered as the trick. Okay. I don't know what's going on here. What's going on here? I don't even know what it is. So we went from talking about the word hussy to church, and it took off. Nah, you good, Vinyasa. Maybe I didn't get the joke either. Maybe I was too busy looking at the. Maybe because I was looking at the material. That's why. Shyness. Yeah, it's all good, fam. I couldn't help myself. I like to play with words. I try to be respectful as possible, but honest to the culture as well, which needless to say, it gets stickies at times. Okay. All right. I didn't get it. I wasn't even paying attention, to be honest. I was too busy looking at the material. So but it's all good though. It's all good, Vinyasa. You good people. I ain't tripping. It'll probably come back to me later. I don't even know. Oh, you subscribe to somebody that is a trick baby, Sir Anthony? See, to be honest with you, the term trick baby to me is very offensive. It's very offensive to the child, just like the word bastard is offensive to a child, because the word bastard means a child who's born to parents who are not married or they was born out of affair. So if you was born out of affair or born to parents that are not married, you could say it's a bastard child. If you born to a parent that's a prostitute and a parent that's a John, you could say it's a trick baby. Pretty much. So yeah, trick baby is a very offensive word. I don't really like it, but that's the street slang, that's the street terminology. That's just what it is. I mean, that's what they call it in the streets. So But anyways, if you guys want to check this book out, make sure you check out this book by Iceberg Slim called Trick Baby, the story of a white Negro. Okay. And here's another book. It's called Shanti's or Shitani's sister. Shitani's sister, Iceberg Slim. Shitani's sister. All right, so make sure you guys check this out too. Shitani's sister. Okay, so let me go ahead and read the comments so I can answer you guys' question. It says, how you call somebody an illegitimate child? Well, you gotta remember back in the day, that was the old terminology. That's what they did. They called children who was born out of wedlock bastard children. Because see, and yes, Rashad, it is has something to do with the religious concept of it, because the whole thing is about, the whole ideology is centered around the concept of if you having kids, you should be married first before you have children. So once you get married, then you can have kids. Right. So and that's the old traditional way of thinking. Marriage first, then children. So, but if you have sex before you're married and then you start having children, then that children is illegitimized or is a bastard child. And then at that time period when the child was considered as a bastard, they didn't receive all the benefits or rights of, they didn't receive all the benefits and rights just like a child who was born to parents that are married. So let's just say if one of your parents passed away, right? And there was some inheritance back in those time periods. If your parents were not married, you weren't going to get one of your parents' inheritance. So that means if you was a child, let's say your mother was your daddy's side chick or whatever, okay, and you came into the picture. If your daddy dies, you won't get the inheritance because you consider as illegitimate child, and you was considered as a child that was not born into a family that was married. Now things have changed over time. The laws have changed. The laws have changed over time, but back then you couldn't inherit those family rights because you were not considered as being married into the family. You're considered as an outsider, and to be an illegitimate child is not. It's a damaging thing. It's damaging, especially when it comes to your other siblings, because your other siblings may not look at you as part of the family. They look at you as an outsider. Yeah, you might share the same bloodline as them, mean that you might share the same paternal bloodline, particularly that's because it's very common with the paternal side than it is the maternal side of the family. Because if your mom was messing around with somebody else, everybody know who their mama is, right? Everybody share the same mama, so it's not that much of an issue. But when it comes to the daddy messing around with multiple people, if a man messing around with multiple women, then chances are that the kids that grew up in a household together, they don't know those other children. They don't know about those children. So those other children don't exist into their world. So those other children are just considered as the outside kids. And those outside kids don't get treated with so much respect. They get treated like the outcasts, the underdogs. They get treated like they're not a part of the family. So yes, trick baby is used to describe a baby of mixed culture as well. Hmm. And I get it, yeah, but and you're right. And I respect that. I respect that you claim your own kids. I respect that, Vinyasa. But you got some men, well, not some, you got a lot of men who have an affair with other women and they try to conceal their relationship, or they'll try to keep it as a secret from their wives or girlfriends because they don't want anybody to know about their outside children. So they'll try to do whatever they can to keep those outside children away because they feel like that's going to mess up their family dynamic, which pretty much you already done did the damage. The damage is done and it's going to come out sooner or later. But you got these men that think in this backward mindset, and they thinking that if they can just keep the kids away and keep the women away by paying them off, then it's no problem. And that's just a messed up way of doing it. They try to live under this facade. They try to live under this facade. So again, if a woman do have a child outside of wedlock, or if she had cheated on her spouse, all the kids know who their mama is. 9 times out of 10, they know who their mama is. And 9 times out of 10, they gonna be with their mama. For the most part, they gonna be with their mama. I mean, you know stories of women who have multiple children with multiple men. So they pretty much know who the mama is because they with her majority of the time. They with her damn near 24/7. But when daddy have kids with multiple women, they not with their father 24/7. Maybe certain children, certain ones, they are, or none of them are with their daddy. A woman had a child of wedlock who wanted to have a child baptized. They did the baptism in the basement because she wasn't married. You see how cold-blooded it was? You see that? You see that? You see how they treat a woman who is not married, but she has children. And she got to be baptized in the basement. But a woman that is married, she can get baptized in the church in front of the congregation. That's, that's just how, this is the kind of world we live in. See, it's very discriminatory like that. It's very discriminating against those who are married and unmarried. And it's not fair. Because either way it goes, a child's going to be born anyway, whether the family is going to have a union or not. That child's going to be born. And then it makes it hard, especially if you are the father and your child has to be legitimized, meaning that you got to go through the paperwork process and you have to claim on the responsibility as a father and etc. And usually the ones who have to do the legitimacy of their children are the ones who was not married to the mother. Now, if you was married to the mother, then it wouldn't be so much of a hassle. But if you was never married to the mom and you trying to go through the process of trying to gain custody of your kids and all of this stuff, you got to go through the process of legitimizing them, meaning that you got to claim them and you have to own up to the ownership and you saying that, hey, I'm going to take responsibility, etc. And that's not an easy thing to do. Okay. I'm too honest. Win or lose. If I can't be honest, me, then I'll have nothing at all. Because the moment I lose me, I lose everything. Yeah, I feel you. Do y'all think Joseph ever called Mary a hussy? And this ain't no miracle. This is a trick, baby. Oh, I get it. Because you talking about the story of Jesus. You know what? Joseph probably was wondering what the hell happened. How did Jesus come into the picture? How did Jesus come into the picture? And then they found out, oh, it's immaculate conception. So immaculate conception is how he got into the picture. Okay. So God sent on his Holy Spirit to bring Mary into the picture. But so maybe Jesus will be a trick baby. Don't say that to the Christian now. You know you're gonna offend the Christian church when you say that. Don't say that. They gonna come for you. The Christian apologist is gonna come to you. They gonna come for you. The Christian apologist is getting ready to come to you. They finna come at you, y'all. So you better be careful. Those Christian folks is watching you. You putting up this comment. Talking about, do y'all ever think Joseph ever called Mary a hussy and said, this ain't no miracle, this is a trick baby? Yeah, them Christians finna come at you. I don't think that's messed up. The church is a cold place if you go by the letter. Yeah, it can be a very cold place. I'll tell you that. It can be. It can be a very cold place. I agree with you on that. It depends on the mindset of the individuals, though. So if the individual have a certain type of psychology, then yeah, they make the environment cold. But again, if that's not where their mindset is at, and they're more upscale and more contemporary like, then it can get thrown out the window. Best name for Jesus I ever heard was Jerusalem Slim. Shout out to Barshango. Reverend Barshango said that. Jerusalem Slim. You better stop it, Vinyasa. Them Christian apologists gonna come to you. They waiting on you. They finna come at you. Yeah, they sure is. Those Christian apologists gonna get them. They gonna get them. Yeah, and they gonna come hard too. I think it's safe to say that there aren't any Christian in the room tonight. Nah, they ain't in the room tonight, but they somewhere watching. They somewhere lurking. You know, they lurking hard. They somewhere watching. One eyebrows down. Yeah. Oh boy. Okay. Okie dokie. Well, I guess I'll close it out for tonight. I appreciate you guys in the chat. Oh, another thing. I would also suggest you guys to check out Irene Yvette. So I'm gonna type her name in the comment section. Jesus leaves circle on all his girls' face when he mad. Okay, boy. Vinyasa, you better stop it. You know they watching you. They lurking. They gonna come for you. Jesus leaves circles on all the girls' faces when he mad. You trying to call Jesus a pimp? Yep. But I want to give a response. Going back to the concept before I close out, going back to the concept about Iceberg Slim statement of the pimp is a lonely bastard. The way I see that, it means that he has no remorse, he has no trust in the world, and he has no regard, and he feels empty. So by him feeling empty, or by him being empty, by him being empty, he feels like there's no trust in the world. There's no one that he can really rely on personally. So the acronym that I use for the word pimp is a person in mental poverty. The acronym is a person in mental poverty. That's how I see the word pimp. Somebody who's in mental poverty. Somebody who needs to find a way to satisfy their ego, to build some type of strength within themselves, to feel like they can be powerful because they're stuck in mental poverty. And they hunger, they're looking for something to profit it off of, or someone they can profit off of and have some type of control over. They're trying to build a reputation. And most of these pimps, they are damaged. A lot of them are psychologically damaged themselves. That's why I say they are dealing with mental poverty, because they're damaged. If you look at Donald Goines, he was a pimp, but he had a serious drug addiction. He was mentally damaged. Yes, Rashid. Yes, Rashid. Absolutely. Yeah. Check out that sister channel. Now, that sister Yvette Irene, she goes in. She does a great job of analyzing things. So far, I think her channel comes from an unbiased state, but she tries to be very cordial. She tries to be very balanced. I mean, although she's a Christian woman, she identifies as a Christian, but this woman is very balanced. So she's not one of those people where she discriminates against other people that are not in the same faith as she is, and she tries to give people opportunity. So you guys need to check her out, and she does a good job at bringing about assessment. She come up with great topics and all of that great stuff. Like, you guys really need to listen to her. Just pay attention to her. So, yep. But again, back to what I was saying, yeah, most pimps are caught up in the mental poverty. And Donald Goines was one of those people. He was really psychologically poor. And he had very low self-esteem. This man was so hooked on drugs badly. So he would prostitute women just so he can come up with some money, not to just write books, but to also get drugs into his system. And Iceberg Slim, he didn't have it easy either. He wasn't happy with himself at one point. Do you think a lot of these pimps happy that they are pimping? No, they not. Because at the end, it does something to them psychologically. And that's why they get away from that lifestyle, because they know that if they stay in too long, it does something to them. They can't compete with somebody younger than them, for one. And then for two, they get tired of it. They don't want to continue to be pimping people. They want to find something else better. And that was Iceberg Slim. He was in it from the age 18 to 42. So that was like 24 years of his life. He was out here pimping the streets. 24 years of his life. So yeah, that's the acronym. A person in mental poverty. That's a pimp. All right, you guys. So I'm going ahead and log off. So with that being said, peace and power elevation be to all you. And thank you for tuning in, watching my channel, supporting my channel, subscribe, and hitting the notification bell. Let me read this one last comment. Check her out, Brother Rashid. And nobody wants to be around that caliber of woman all day. The mouth, the pains, the risk is only joyful to young pups or those misguided in the game. Well said. You're right. I could not agree no more. You said it. You said it. It's the stress that comes along with it. It's the stress. And if you can't deal with that type of stress, then you can't be in it. Yeah. But anyways, you guys, I'm gonna go ahead and close it out. Again, peace and power and elevation be to all of you. This your girl Tiffany, and I'm logging off. And thank you all for tuning in. Make sure you subscribe, hit the notification bell, share my channel, check out my other contents on here, etc. And until next time, be safe, take it easy. Peace. All right.